afternoon, and surprising that's on the screen there. How is everyone doing? It's crazy. Winota has been banned from Historic. Mainly, I would suggest, is because of Angelic Marauders. If you don't know what that is, we'll go into that in a little bit. Burrow's got a turn 4 WinCon in Standard. How is everyone today? Crash, you're here. Stay and play. Lock, Smash MTG, Drunk, Lock, Big T. All you guys are doing great. Welcome to the live stream. This is supposed to be a spoiler live stream where we're going to go over the spoilers. But big news, this only just dropped, I think, an hour ago from Wizards of the Coast. As of today at 2 p.m. Pacific time, Winota Joiner our Forces is suspended, aka banned from Historic play. And that was because mainly the card was overtaking it. Even after the Agent of Treachery ban and the Fires of Invention ban, it did not get rid of the problem. And this means in Standard, Winota is literally one card away from being banned. If they're banning it from Historic, they know there's a problem. It's going to get banned from Standard, I would suggest, in the next couple sets. It probably not right now because it doesn't have a huge target, but things are down the line, you know it's going to be. 40 minutes till it's banned. Is that what it is? Desolator's gonna die laughing. I bet he will. I bet he will. It's a glorious day for anyone that plays Historic. And Historic is really gaining ground, I have to say right now, in Arena, mainly because people don't want to play Standard. And Historic is giving you that option to not have to play Standard. So, today, today we are making an update to the Magic Gathering Arena format, Historic. Historic is not actually an official format, guys. It's not even listed on the Wizards of the Coast website. It is literally only an Arena. I suggest that they actually update that and say this is a type of format that is out there. They'll discuss the following changes. Since the Ranked Historic returned in late May, we have been closely watching decks with Winota Joiner our Forces. The early data for this deck showed it was both popular and strong, but since the deck was so new to the format, we wanted to allow some time to see if the rest of the field could adapt. Oh yeah, Blue Belcher is ridiculously stupid. I'm running 2 Treasure Hunts and an Oracle. And the rest is land, and you just like, really? This is the deck? How is this a deck? They need to ban Oracle from Historic as well, very quickly, just because of that interaction between the 2 cards. So although the field has recently shifted due to last week's announcement, the data show that it was not significant in reducing the performance of this deck. In fact, with the data now available, we are seeing the popularity roughly doubling since the emergence and the win rate remaining problematically high. That is insane. So you ban Agent of Treachery because of the interaction with Winota, and then they go, wait a second, Agent was not the problem, Winota was the problem all along, which we already knew. From Agent of Treachery, they turned around and did the other card. Angelic Marauders became the new version. And if you guys don't know what this is, I've been trying to break this card for a while myself. I actually ran I can't paste it, so I have to literally, do I gotta look it up? Yeah, I'm gonna have to look it up to find it. Let's do it on this screen. There it is, Angelic Marauders. I'll bring it up here. This is the card why Winota is being taken out. Finally, use wildcards for another deck I was working on. Nice. Hello, Shannon. Vinyl, welcome. So, Angelic Marauders. If a source would deal damage to a permanent or a player, it deals double that damage to that permanent or player instead. I actually created a deck in back in Kaladesh days using Angelic Marauders, and it would let me do a shock for 32. 32 points of damage off one shock. And so it created lethal, and I had set it up in such a way that I was able to pull out all 4 of my Angelic Marauders out of my deck, and every time you have one of these on the board, it doubles, 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 and doubles. So then it's times 16 when you have all 4 on the board. Using, it was the Indomino Fabin or whatever it is, where you could sack artifacts or creatures and go and literally find another creature and put it out into play. This literally was the only creature in the deck. Everything else was tokens and everything like that, and all you had to do was set up a couple board states, you get the 4 mana and get all 4 of these out and then shock for 32. It was ridiculous. Wait, doubles? This is a Rosewater design. This is the main reason why she's being banned from Historic today, is this card. Angrass Marauders is an absolutely crazy card. I'm surprised it's taken this long for it to actually bubble up, and I wouldn't be surprised if this bubbles up in the Luca deck as well, because there is other cards that you can do right now in Historic, but this was the major human for Winota to target. I'll get that off the screen. Okay, we are making this suspension effective immediately, which is a change from previous announced practices of providing 1 week notice. Well, it's a digital format, whereas in normal it's paper. As we have worked to learn more about how to manage Historic and digital focus format, we feel that the notice period is on balance from more problematic than beneficial here. The digital nature of Historic play allows us to observe the full format much more closely and allows players to respond to format changes more quickly as well. For Historic only, there will be times that we feel the case is compelling enough that we should act immediately without providing 1 week notice. So that's the reason why we're not seeing an announcement for an announcement and so on. As with other formats, changes like this will not occur in any major event using the Historic format, which there is a major event coming up for the Pro Tour as they're switching to Arena that will be playing Historic, that is listed on the Pro Tour website. This includes both organized play events such as Mythic Invitational, as well as MTG Arena Pacific events geared towards high-level competitive play such as the Arena Open. This 1 week notice period will remain the standard, no pun intended. So that's a knockout. If they're going to ban something in standard, we will see it a week after an announcement. Because Winota Join Our Forces is still playable in standard, they are not giving wildcards. FYI, this is not one of those cases where they are giving you wildcards for this card because it is still in current standard. Yeah, also Star City Games just announced that they're doing events as well. If you're participating in traditional Historic or Historic events using a deck that included Winota Forces prior to today's maintenance, you will be able to complete the event with your current deck. This will not prevent you from finishing a previously entered event. Once you have finished the current events, you will no longer be able to submit decks containing this card or these cards. Play queue, Winota Join Our Forces suspension will immediately go into effect for all Historic play queues once today's maintenance is complete. So do look for an update in Arena sometime in the next hour. It's very interesting that they're doing that. So with digital, we can get data and ban quickly, but with standard, that we've been exclusively digital for the last few months, we need more time to gather data before we ban. Exactly, Crash. It doesn't make sense, but that's the way things are going. You got to remember, paper play is being done worldwide, where Historic is literally only on Arena and you don't do it in paper. So worldwide, it does affect it a little bit differently, and there's obviously more things to it. So I'm just going to recenter the screen here, get down to where we are. I left off on the Jeskai Elder. I don't believe I showed off Bad Deal. I think this was done after my stream on Friday. Can we just get a thick version of Winota? Bad Deal is a bad card. Like this, I read this and I was like, that's horrible. That's not very good. For 2 black, 4 generic, you got a bad deal where they're shaking like a blood pact. You draw 2 cards, and each opponent discards 2 cards. Each player loses 2 life. This might be a commander-only card, really. There's other cards that are like 2, 3 to do that. Hello, Richard Lash. How is it going? So, yeah, this card, I doubt we'll see any play at 6 mana. This thing could have easily be 3, 4, 6. Yeah, it's not going to come out. Like, 2 life and 2 cards is not viable enough to run it. You just run a counter spell at that point, really. Okay, well, we got a lot of foreign cards here. Maleficent Scythe. I cannot say that properly. Don't make fun of me. 1 black, 1 generic artifact equipment. It enters the battlefield with a soul counter. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each soul counter on the Scythe. Whenever equipped creature dies, put a soul counter on Scythe. Equip 1. This is going to end up in the Witch's Oven deck very quickly. And yeah, bad deal. It's definitely pack 1, pick 1 material. If you're picking Jankshaft, yeah. Collecting more data. You can collect more data now than ever before when people use wildcards to build decks. But yeah, this Scythe is going to end up in the Witch's Oven deck with the kitty cat. You're simply going to equip that, then you're going to sack it and repeat. It's just going to be a very quick ramp up. 2, 3, 4 of these on the board could be devastating, especially on a kitty cat that can swing and hit you and go meow. So we'll see where that lands. That's definitely something that might go in a mono black sack deck. Then we got the Tidal Whale. If you guys follow anything to do with the Gulf City YouTube channel, they do a comic style comedy, and they have a thing that's been their part of their stick for a long time, and it's the blue whale, the all hail blue whale. And when I saw this, I was like, oh my god, they went and actually made their whale, which is absolutely amazing in my eyes. This thing is 2 blue, 5 generic, creature whale. It's a big blue whale. Creatures your opponents control get -1/-0. For 1 generic, 1 blue, discard Tidal Whale. Look at the top 2 cards of your library. Put one of them into your hand and the other into your graveyard. So this is like cycling, souped up cycling, sort of. AP. Look at those ADs and AP. What? Yeah, souped up cycling. So yeah, that's not too bad. It's an uncommon. It's a 7/7, which is Giganta. Mega cycling, yep, pretty much is. You're getting extra cycling out of it. Then we got the new tome, the Cryptic Masterpiece. This thing is a 2 generic artifact. Tap it, put a page counter on the Masterpiece, scry 1. 2 untap it, put a page counter on Cryptic Masterpiece, draw a card. Whenever Cryptic Masterpiece has 4 or more page counters on it, exile it. When you do, gain 4 life. This is actually a decent draw engine, and it's something, I think they balanced it in that way that it only does so much. Because it's an artifact, you can bring it in and then you can scry 1 right away, so it's not overly that bad. I don't think this is that bad of a card. We'll see where it goes. Commander staple, probably. It may find its spot in a artifact deck in standard. It's hard to say where this may end up going. Necromentia. 2 black, 1 generic. Of course, it's off to the side because I keep having to reorganize where we're sitting. Choose a card name other than basic land card name. Search your target opponent's graveyard, hand, and library for any number of cards with that name and exile them. That player shuffles their library, creates a 2/2 black zombie creature token for each card exiled this way. From their hand, but only from their hand that they get the zombies. This is the same thing as Unamoric Ego, just straight in black. I'm guessing we're going to see a mono black discard. with Gary. Discard Devotion is what we're going to see come out of this set, and it won't be that bad. Then we got Rewind. Yeah, Rewind is the one card we needed with, it's pronounced like Dementia. Okay, Necromentia. Cool. Thanks, Gameplay. We got Rewind. Last card we needed to go with Wilderness Exclamation. Hello, Wrathwood. 2 blue, 2 generic. This is a reprint. Counter target spell. Untap up to 4 lands. Yay, so it's a free counter spell. And it's going to be a free counter spell in that deck. It's going to be ridiculous. Then we have Fungal Rebirth. I don't mind this card, actually, when I saw it. Pacific Flash is going to love Rewind. Yep. 1 green, 2 generic, instant. Return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. If a creature died this turn, create 2 1/1 green sapling creature tokens. It's not too bad. If you've lost something in combat, you get to bring it back and you get bodies. So for 3 mana, this as a token generator, this could be something worthwhile. We'll see how that goes. So return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. If a creature died this turn, create 2. This could also be Fable Passage. And if you had done it in after a combat, you still get those 2 green 1/1s. So there could be something there. Fungal Rebirth, isn't that something you go for the doctor for? Yep. You got to get those toes checked out. Okay, we got Consecrated Veteran. This is a 1 and a 1 generic, 1 white. Human Warrior, discard a card, tap Consecrated Veteran. It gains indestructible until end of turn. So, this is also a 3/1. I've been saying this for quite a long time, that Indestructible has taken over Regeneration. Regeneration is a very old version of this, where it would remove all combat, all damage that was marked on a creature, and you would still tap it. Indestructible is ultimately the same thing, and this is another card that's pointing that Regeneration is no more, and Indestructible is the updated version of Regeneration, because this does almost the same thing, but the damage is still marked. When damage is still marked on a card in this sense, it is it can be affected by negative counters and still die that way. So this is, in my eyes, an updated version of Regeneration. Instant regrowth plus tokens. This is the best thing, best return of thing in my eyes. Well, yes, but a creature has to die to get those tokens, so. Yeah, Necromedia is better because it just gives them a token if it was in their hand instead of drawing cards. Okay, on with the show. We got Carrion Grub. I saw someone post this card next to something else. This is a 1 black, 3 generic, 0/5 insect. It gets +X/+0, where X is the greatest power among creature cards in your graveyard. When it enters the battlefield, mill 4 cards, and mill is a new keyword that has actually been added. Yeah, did he update that? The Haunted Game Store? That's so funny. He let us preview it there, drunk. I had a good laugh at that thing. Which is worse, card draw or bodies? Card draw. They could draw dead, but bodies are bodies. It's a 2/2 zombie. Carrion Grub. So maybe we put a 16/16 in the graveyard with this. And you can mill yourself with this as well. Yeah. So we got the 16/16 that's in standard currently. So this could be a 16/5. Just need to have a kit block. And we have the Megalodon. Spiked Megalodon. It's a 2 blue, 5 generic creature shark with hexproof. Whenever it attacks, scry 1. This is pretty much Blue's version to Carnage Tyrant, a much worse Carnage Tyrant, but it still has hexproof, and it's a 5/7, so there's a little bit of beef there. This is just mainly for draft. it may do something, but I don't think it's going to be anything crazy. Reason why Carnage Tyrant was so good was because it had the trample to go with it. Then we got a Tide Skimmer. Uncommon, 1 blue, 3 generic. Flying Drake, 2/3. Whenever it attacks with 2 or more creatures with flying, draw a card. This may find a place in a blue-white control shell with flying. It's something absolutely crazy. How did they get a card with Mega printed? Megalodon, though, is a real thing. Come on, Crash. Okay. Face Fetters. I think this is a reprint. I could be wrong. 1 white, 3 generic or enchantment. Enchant permanent. When Fate Feathers enters the battlefield, you gain 4 life. Enchant permanent can't block or attack, and its activated abilities can't activate unless they're mana abilities. We have Pacifism already in Standard. This literally is Draft Shaft. It's for drafting. It's not going to do much in Standard, mainly because of Pacifism. Yeah, it shuts down activated abilities, but we've also got things that remove them from play anyway, so this is not going to see anything. Whoop. Hit the wrong button. 'Tis reprint. That's what I thought. That Burns Matter card is going to be broken. Yes, it is. I don't know why I went into that. It's in English. We have the Bolt Hound. I absolutely love the look of this Doberman with lightning on it. 1 red, 2 generic with haste. Elemental Dog 2/2. Whenever Bolt Hound attacks other creatures you control, get +1/+0 until end of turn. That +1/+0 is not to be underestimated, especially with the haste on this. In a go wide red deck, this thing's going to be nuts. And I must say, this is my second well, technically third indication that we may see a lightning bolt sometime today. Because I know they did the secret lair, so we'll see what's going on. Shuts down to fairies. The bolt, which one? The feathers. I guess it is permanent, but then you can just exile it with the 3 other exiling enchantments that are out there, right? Oh, we got another doggo, the Selfless Rescue Dog, 1 white creature dog. Sacrifice Rescue Dog. Another target creature you control gains indestructible until end of turn. And this is a basic 1/1 doggo. Vanishing Light, yeah. Multiple Bolt Dogs would be so good. Yep, giving that +1/+1 across the board is absolutely insane. Siege Striker, 1 white, 2 generic, human soldier with double strike. So this thing's got double strike. You know what? I'm just going to shrink this a little bit. Then that maybe that way I don't have to redo that all the time. When it attacks, you may tap any number of untapped creatures until you end of turn, or that you control. Siege Striker gains +1/+1 for each creature tapped this way until end of turn. That is insane on a double striker. I have to say that. You add this in a Dance of the Manse, or not Dance of the Manse, March of the Multitude decks, and you could have something gigantic with double strike. Just give this thing trample and the game's over. Or fling it afterwards, maybe. I don't know. So we're seeing a lot of Jeskai-inspired cards. Now, a lot of people were like, why is Narset in Ikoria? And sometimes what happens is they print these cards that just don't fit into the set that they're meant to go into, but they print them before or after that set. And I think that's where we kind of saw it. I'd let you fling my Siege Striker. Oh boy. The Magic Historian is in the house. How's it going? So we got the Leaping Augur. 1 red, 3 generic, human shaman with trample. Its power is equal to the number of instant and sorcery cards in your graveyards. When it enters the battlefield, discard 2 cards, then draw that many cards. So it's up to 2 cards that you discard, so if you only had 1, then it's kind of fair in that sense, where with other ones, it's just draw the cards, even if you have nothing to get rid of. Leaping Lenny. Yeah, pretty much. So with Narset being printed, you can see all the other Jeskai cards coming out of it, and it's making a little bit more sense on the why Narset was in Ikoria, not so much because they just couldn't fit it in the core set. It's because the core set, they focused more on the mono colors, so it's kind of balancing in that sense. Flavor-wise, it makes absolutely no sense. One blue, one generic. Sorcery for See the Truth. Look at the top 3 cards of your library, put one of them in your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. However, if you can cast the spell from anywhere other than your hand, instead put those cards into your hand. So, is there another free casting in this set? I think there's going to be more free casting in this set. Let's hope not. But this tells me it's going to be free casted. Or maybe if you copy this spell, that's another way that that might happen. So maybe they're more looking at the copying aspect, but obviously there is more free casting coming down the line. Then we got the Elder Gargaroth. This thing is absolutely green. 2 green, 3 generic, mythic creature, beast, vigilance, reach, and trample. When it attacks or blocks, choose one. You either get a 3/3 green beast creature token, or you gain 3 life, or you draw a card. This is like Euro in mono green with vigilance and trample and reach. This thing is gigantic. This thing is going to make any green deck a powerhouse once again. Yeah, sure, it dies to removal. Maybe Veil of Summer comes unbanned. Who knows what's going to happen. Garth makes Carnage Tyrant his bitch just a little bit. Just a little bit. He's just missing the hexproof. That reach is not to be underestimated as well, because this is now a flyer blocker, which I am very happy to see in green. Green always seems to get the shaft when it comes down to flying, and it is nice to see that. We got a reprint, a Revitalize. This is something that has been there for a while. I still don't know what's going on with the guy's hand, because it looks like he has 6 fingers in this artwork. 1 white, 1 generic. You gain 3 life, draw a card instant. Garth is still missing, he can't be countered. Yep, there's ways to do it though. Then we got the Radiant Fountain. It's a entrance to the battlefield, you gain 2 life. And tap it for 1 generic. It doesn't come in tapped, it comes in untapped. This, I would guess, is going to end up in maybe a white life gain deck just for the 2 life. You Revitalize, I hate this card. It's the only thing. The only good thing is the art. Then these next three Chandra cards. I love this new look that they give in these showcase cards. Chandra's Incinerator. This thing is absolutely insane in my eyes. 1 red, 5 generic for a 6/6 elemental. But wait, there's more. This spell costs X less to cast, where X is the total amount of non-combat damage dealt to your opponent this turn. You do not get wildcards for the historic bans. No, you do not, because Winota is still legal in Standard. This thing also has Trample. Whenever a source you control deals non-combat damage to an opponent, Chandra's Incinerator deals that much damage to target creature or planeswalker that players control. So, you can't... I don't think you can get this down turn 2, because it's got to be non-combat damage. If it was combat damage included in there, you could. I know Crash had pointed this out to me earlier. With the Scorching Spitter or whatever it is, you attack, it does 1, and then you could skewer the critics for 3. That's 4. So that you still need 1 more point of damage to be able to get this down to turn 2, but that means you can get this down as early as turn 3. A 6/6. That's the way things are going now. You get a 6/6 turn 2, turn 3. It's going to be Alpha Gamers. But wait, there's more. There should be Wizard's Catchphrase. Historic now has enough of 3 separate planeswalkers for Walker Tribal. Yeah, it does. Chandra, Heart of Fire. 2 red, 3 generic, 5 loyalty, Chandra Planeswalker. For +1, discard your hand, then exile the top 3 cards of your library. Until end of turn, you play cards exiled this way. You still have to cast them, thankfully. Another +1 is 2 damage to any target. That's not an overly bad thing. It could be worse. It could be an emblem that does 1 damage around. And then -9. Search your graveyard and library for any number of red instants and or sorcery cards. Exile them. Then shuffle your library. You may cast them this turn. Add 6 mana. Well, you're going to have everything on the board, so that's 5 mana, plus another 6, so that's 11 mana that you're going to be able to search for. That is game ending. It is a -9, it should be game ending. I have to say that. If you find a way to cheat up to that -9, congratulations, you have broken the game. But it is still a 5 mana planeswalker, so I don't think this is out of the ordinary realm, but this also really means a Chandra Tribal is very close. Does Chandra Incinerator go infinite with itself? No. How would Chandra's it's non-combat damage? Like if you have 2 of them on the board? Whenever a source you control deals non-combat damage to an opponent, this deals that much damage. Well, if you shock it, and then whenever a source you control deals non-combat damage to an opponent, Chandra's Incinerator deals that much damage to target. I guess this should have been legendary if that's the case. That's a good question, Fetus. That seems like a big overlook. Yeah, if you have 2 of them on the board, which is very easy to do. Yeah, so just in that case, it should have been legendary. That seems completely busted. We'll see what happens when the meta's solved. An overlook from Wizards of the Coast, not surprised. So whenever a source you control deals non-combat damage to an opponent, Chandra's Incinerator deals that much damage to target creature or planeswalker that players control. So this thing, if you have 2 of these on the board, you shock. Now, one of these deals another 2 damage. The next one deals 2 damage because, and then the next one, then the next one. Yeah, it can't hit opponents with it. Oh, that would do it, yeah. So it can clear the board, and you could and because it's target creature or planeswalker, it would have to then target itself, so it would actually kill itself in the long run. It still should have been infinite at that point. I can see this now in the Boros deck with the Knight. Whenever you deal damage to it, it does double damage to an opponent. So yeah, that's very, very interesting. What about Chandra's Regulator, red artifact from core? What about it? Yeah, True Fire Captain, that's it, Crash. So if you have this down with True Fire Captain, yeah, I could see that being a problem. But that's quite a bit of mana and everything like that, so it might not be that bad. Then we have Chandra's Magma, 1 red, 1 generic, 2/2, tap it, and it deals 1 damage to target player or planeswalker, and it's an elemental dog. That's pretty nice. Or the bird that gets bigger, yep. Chandra's Preeling. Who cares about the bird that gets bigger? You got Chandra's Preeling. 1 red, 1 generic. It's a 1/3 elemental lizard. Whenever a source you control deals non-combat damage to an opponent, this thing gets +1/+0 and gains double strike until end of turn. Double strike. Are you kidding me? This giving it +1/+0 is huge already. Giving it double strike on top of that is absolutely ridiculous. The flying bird was bad enough because it had flying and it's already going over things. Now you're giving it double strike on top of that. No thank you. Like, yeah. So good for an uncommon. The bird is also uncommon. You're putting this directly in a Cavalcade deck because it triggers it. Basi's Lieutenant. 1 white, 3 generic, 3/4 human knight. Vigilant, protection from multicolor. When it enters the battlefield, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. Whenever this lieutenant or another creature you control dies, if it had a 1/1 counter on it, create a 2/2 white creature token with vigilance. I don't mind that. It seems pretty decent for a 4 mana in white. Protection from multicolor is huge. It's vigilant. It doesn't have lifelink, thankfully, because anything that's getting lifelink right now is making the white decks even more worse when it comes down to it. Then we got a new Plains. It looks like it's inspired by Amoket. This is the Showcase Plains. These Showcase lands, I think, are going to be really nice in foil. So that's something. Bassi's Acolyte, 2 white, 2 generic, 2/3 cat cleric, lifelink. Whenever it enters the battlefield, put a 1/1 counter on each up to 2 target creatures you control. Not other creatures, so you can put them on it as well. Bassi's cards are pretty tame compared to Chandra. Yes, they are. Looks like a Plains from Minecraft, almost. Bassi's Solidarity, 1 white, 1 generic. Put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control for 2 mana at sorcery speed. That's kind of really nice. We got Bassi's Ket. This was already leaked. 2 white and a generic. 3 loyalty, new Planeswalker from Amoket. +1, you put a 1/1 counter on up to 1 target creature and gain indestructible until end of turn. -2, 1 or more non-token creatures attack this turn. Create that many 1/1 white soldier creature tokens that are tapped and attacking. That is really nice in a token deck. And -6, you get an emblem with, at the beginning of combat each turn, you create a 1/1 white soldier creature token that gets a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. Yeah, new Solum Socolarakam art is lame. Well, it's back in standard. 4 mana artifact golem. It's a 2/2. Whenever it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a basic land card. Put that card into the battlefield tap, then shuffle your library. When it dies, you may draw a card. Putting this with Charming Prince, I think, is going to be kind of busted in white. Pepsi Man. Villager's Right is the next one. And when I saw this, I went, are you kidding? Like, who made this art? It's kind of disturbing right now. For 1 black, you get an instant. As additional to casting the spell, sacrifice a creature, then you get to draw 2 cards. So it replaces itself and you get the extra cards. So, yeah. Yeah, thin your deck out in standard. Best common so far, that black, yep. And then we have Pestilent Haze. 2 black and a generic. Choose 1. All creatures get -2/-2 until end of turn. Or remove all 2 loyalty counters from each Planeswalker. That 2 loyalty from each Planeswalker, that could be a thing. It would have been nice if this was instant speed, though, because at sorcery speed, that 2 loyalty is not going to be that big of a deal. I think they could have easily gone choose 1 or both in this sense. All creatures -2/-2 and then the -2 loyalty. I don't think it would have been reaching that far to do both on this card. It's not bad. We need more big sweepers like this, but like I said, it would have been nice if it was also instant. Then you could do it as a thing. Haze would have been better if it was printed during War of the Spark. Almost. Yeah, it's only 1 counter taken away when you think of it, because they would have just plussed it 1. So it would have been nice if it was instant. It would have been nice if it was choose 1 or both. And then we have Massacre Worm. This thing was already spoiled. I love the art for this thing. That thing's got chompers for days. 3 black and 3. It's a 6/5 worm at Mythic. When it enters the battlefield, creatures your opponents control get -2/-2. So that's your opponent's, not yours. That's actually really big. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, that player loses 2 life. That added effect is devastating in an Aristocrats deck. And we have our new white removal card. This thing is going to be heavily played, and I can see this thing climbing up in how much it's worth, especially while it's legal in standard. 1 white, 1 generic, Angelic Ascension. Exile target creature or Planeswalker. Its controller gains 4/4 white angel creature token with flying. Because it's instant speed and it's 2 mana removal for a Planeswalker, this thing is absolutely going to be crazy. It's not no path to exile, but it hits a planeswalker, so it's exiling it. Then we got the lore scale Coatly. I believe that's what that is. 1 blue, 1 green, 1 generic, 2/2 snake. Whenever you draw a card, put a 1/1 counter on this. So not only does this thing gain a 1/1 counter every turn, but they put this in a Simic colors where you're going to turn around and draw cards. This snake is going to be nuts in a Simic deck. It's very nice in that sense. We'll refresh this, see if there's any more. Oh, we do. We have Cultivate. Wow. 1 green, 2 generic, search your library for up to 2 basic land cards. Reveal those cards, put 1 on the battlefield tapped and the other in your hand, then shuffle your library. This is another reprint, and I don't think that was what we needed in Standard, was more stuff to color fix. There's too much color fixing already. This is going to be insane. Yay, more fixing, yep. Hello, James. Hushbringer deck, here we go. Yep. Money uncommon. Yep. And that is the spoilers thus far. So I guess the biggest news today was that Winota, Join Our Forces, was banned in Historic as an emergency ban today. Do I play Commander? Yes, I do. I have my deck actually right here, which I want to upgrade. Right now, I use Mael the Amina and Samut Voice of Descent as my commanders for it. It's a Naya deck. New patch. There's supposed to be a patch today. These cards look nuts. Yeah, they do just a little bit. I'm really looking forward to that white removal. Exiling a Planeswalker at instant speed is going to be huge. Like, this isn't... Yeah, it's exile target creature. It's not exile target creature or Planeswalker your opponent controls. It's literally just exile target creature or Planeswalker. So you could turn around, pump your Planeswalker, pass turn, and before your turn, exile it, and get a 4/4 white angel creature out of it. So there's... This card is going to see a lot of play. And thankfully it's printed at Uncommon, because that's what we need at Uncommon, is solid removal. I like the new red cards. I really think the Pryling did not need Double Strike. Pardon me, guys. Jeez. This Gargaroth is going to be absolutely insane. Yeah, like, there's quite a lot of good looking core set cards in these spoilers, so it will be nice to see how this does shake up the meta. Yeah. You want to upgrade, then you're not a Commander player. Yep. Or you spend way too much money on MTG. Yes, you are correct, Hell. Anyway, guys, I'm going to call the live stream there because I leave it up, and this way people can come back and be informed and see the spoilers thus far. Until tonight, we will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, everyone, as well.